Grab a brew and tune in to the High Ticket Review. In each episode, you'll get a rewind of the misses, makes, and definitely magic of live high-ticket sales calls from a veteran sales consultant, Will DeShazo, who has held more than 15,000 calls and trained multiple 8-figure companies, all while developing a simple, winning framework to close your next call. From objection handling,
I'm gonna need to sleep on this,
to on-call close techniques, the High Ticket Review has you covered up in talk tracks that convert to dollars. Now, on to today's training.
Today, we're going to talk about one of the most dangerous tools in all of sales. Everyone thinks they need it, thinks they have to have it, but it's actually hurting them. And that is a sales script. Yeah, the word for word, kind of bulletproof, say this exactly template that promises you're going to close 70% of the deals that pick up the phone. And listen, if you've ever used one, you're not alone. Me, yeah. I used to love a good sales script. Love it. Until I realized they're actually just killing my conversations. Conversions too, but legitimately killing my conversations. I am tied, I am handcuffed to the words on this page. So today, I'm going to show you why scripts actually create stiffness and stuffiness and how to replace them with something better, something I call scaffolding. So let's have sales scaffolding instead. How to sell with real legit presence, not performance. Okay, you ready? Let's do this thing. Let's dive in. This is a true story. A few years back, I had a client come to me who was just super defeated. She'd invested in a high-ticket kind of marketing mastery program. It was an online course type of thing. And part of that program was helping her with her sales. So they taught her how to get new calls and how to close those calls, right? And they gave her this massive 14-page plug and play, kind of insert your language here sales script. And everything was written out. How to greet them, what to say when they say no, how to breathe, when to drink water. I mean, it was like a freaking novella, legitimately. It was insane. You'd get lost in the thing. Thing is, she didn't get lost in it because she spent weeks memorizing it. She got on her calls, followed it word for word, and they tanked 7 in a row. And she's like, well, I'm doing what the sales script, I have the script. They say it works. I'm doing what it says. Why isn't it working? Started working with her, listened to her recordings during call auditing, and I could actually hear the problem instantly. And you know what it was. She sounded perfect. But she wasn't present. She was too perfect. She was like a robot. My 2-year-old daughter loves to do the robot, right? She was like the old animatronics movie, The Polar Express from 2004 when everyone was just a little bit too real that they actually looked fake. Yeah, she was flat. She was mechanical. She was talking at people, not with them. And I just told her, you don't need a script. You need a freaking spine to hold you up, And that's the difference. That's the difference between a script and scaffolding. A script tells you what to say and when to say it, and you are a slave to that page. A scaffold holds you up while you say what's real. So let's talk about why most people cling to a script, because you may be listening to this and you're like, yeah, but I got to have that thing. And I promise you don't use it because you love to sound robotic. Hot take, it's because you're nervous. It's because you're scared. It's because you actually doubt yourself and your God-given ability to coach. Truth pill. Maybe you're scared of blank space. Maybe you're scared of saying the wrong thing or losing control. Scripts are like training wheels. They will keep you from falling off the thing, But they're going to also prevent you from ever learning how to ride the thing in the first place. Do you see what I mean? You're never going to grow with training wheels or with a sales script. If you're following a sales script, you're not actually listening. You're just waiting for your turn to speak. More truth bombs. You're thinking of what's next? What do I need to say? Instead of who am I talking to? How are they feeling based on what they're telling me? Because here's the thing, prospects can feel this. They know it. They might not be able to name it, but they can sense it. They can feel it. Okay? So when your rhythm's too perfect, when your tone's so polished, when the right words always come across, you sound rehearsed, it feels like they're at a performance and no one wants to be in an audience for a pitch. I mean, unless you're like at some huge conference or something that you've signed up for, right? Like, have you ever been on a date where the other person just clearly kind of runs through their mental checklist? It's like no one wants to do that. That's what a script is to your sales call. So what's the alternative? I know you're like, okay, I get it, Will. I see that. But like, what the heck else am I supposed to do? Just totally wing it? Here's the thing. In my methodology and framework, we trade scripts for scaffolding. A scaffold gives you an actual structure to the call, but it also allows you to have freedom within that. You know the flow and the intention and the direction and where you're heading and where you're leading your prospects to, but the words, the feelings, the emotions, they're alive. This is what coaching is. They're alive. You're allowed to breathe and respond. You can let the moment guide you and be present with them. That scaffold follows the same natural rhythm as just a great conversation. Dare I say, as a wonderful coaching session. Search them for the truth. Ask them logical, emotional, the right next question. Listen to what they say back to you and why they're saying it. Tie back their words. Elicit their better version of themselves that they're after and just let them decide if they want to work with you. You don't need 14 pages of lines. You just need to know kind of where you are in the room, in this conversation with the human being you're talking. It's like jazz. Like there's a structure to every song. There's certainly a flow to even if you go to pickup night, there's a flow to the song, the tempo, the key, there's a groove, right? But like the beauty's in the improv, man, you know? And that's what this is. It's structural jazz. Like, come on. Can I get an amen in the back? Somebody here, right? Like, so there's 3 layers, I would say, of scaffolding. I think you could probably argue that there's 5 or 6, but there's really 3 core layers of scaffolding on your conversation. So let's break this down into something that's actually practical here. Okay. These layers are kind of the seasoned scaffold, if you will. If you hold these 3, you're not going to ever need another script ever again. You're going to trust yourself and trust the process and get into conversation with people. So layer 1, call it the foundation, right? Like every home needs to be poured into the foundation. This is a flow. This isn't a formula. This is a flow. So layer 1 is the foundation, and that happens with your flow. This happens throughout the entirety of your conversation is your flow. You need a flow. You don't need a formula. So you need a map. Don't worry so much about like the scripts. Just what's the map? Where am I heading? Your flow might be rapport, figure out their problem, figure out why they want to fix it now, see if they're a fit, and then ask them if they want to join the next step. Maybe that's your flow. Maybe yours looks a little different. You can take that anywhere. You can head any direction there, and it's still going to work. You see, the goal is not to sound smart. It's just to be oriented. So direction is where we're headed. Not I want to dictate all the call. It's just direction. And I know where I am in my flow. Okay, tracking? That's the foundation here. It's probably the most important piece. Once we have the foundation laid, we can start to build the walls of the home. These are guiding questions. This is where your real skill set lives. This is where you really begin to refine your skill set as a seasoned sales pro. Guiding questions are the walls that hold your conversations upright. Okay? You want 5 to 7 really powerful, kind of always open-ended questions in your back pocket for every stage of your conversation that we just talked about in your flow. Things like, well, hey, what made you curious to hop on today? That's like maybe in rapport. How long have you been trying to fix this? Maybe that's in like understanding their problem, right? Hey, what would change? What would life look like if it was fixed? And that's getting a better vision on their future selves, right? So every one of these questions is an entry point into honesty, to understand, to zoom into their life today. And they open the door to 4 or 5 or 10 or 12 or 16 or 20, even more questions. They're not fancy. They're just flavorful, right? Because the secret sauce isn't in the line that you say. It's actually in listening to your prospect. Pretty cool. So layer 2, building the walls through guiding proper questions. And then there's layer 3, the roof. This is really like the presence. This is the roof that protects all is your presence. It's being present with them. It's communicating more than any script ever could. Your tone, your pacing, laughter, little tiny cues, asking methodical questions, tying back to what they tell you. Prospects don't buy when they're convinced of what you say. They buy when they feel safe and they feel heard and they feel meaningful. So rather than being an awesome thesaurus with great lines, just be peace for them. That's your roof. Be the safe place that protects them, that listens to them. That's the roof. So, quick example. A scripted seller, someone you don't want to be, may sound something like this. You, the prospect, say, hey, yeah, I've just kind of been struggling to stay consistent, to be honest with you, for a little while. And then they're going to read through their script, aren't they? Oh, gotcha. Hey, and if I could show you a proven 5-step system for accountability that's helped more than 1,000 of my clients, would that interest you? Ugh, like, come on, man. That feels like I'm being set up. Feels like you're literally just walking me down a tunnel. Like, I don't want to go through that. No. It doesn't interest me, actually. Can we just talk? Can we just relate? Whereas like a seasoned salesperson, hey, yeah, I've been struggling to stay consistent the last few months. A seasoned salesperson says something along the lines of, hey, that totally makes sense. I hear you. Consistency, though, from what I've seen, usually isn't the real issue. It might be, but often it's a byproduct. And there's actually something that's holding you back from achieving consistency. What's been getting in the way recently? Like, I'm curious still. And so your prospect's going to exhale and be like, oh, man. They're going to think about that. And then they're going to answer it. Probably overwhelmed. I just can't seem to stick with it because I've got this 9-to-5 job and it's 65 hours a week and it's a lot. Boom. Now you're in real emotional conversation. There's no tricks or templates, no scripts. It's just trust. You're literally just having a conversation. That's the power of this scaffolding. You're not trying to lead them anywhere. You are literally just there walking with them, protecting and guiding them. So here's my challenge for you this week. Go back and re-listen. It's so powerful to listen to your calls. Every time you hear yourself reading a line, or even go back and look at your sales script. If you see a rehearsed line, a phrase that doesn't sound like you, stop and ask yourself, what can I ask instead of this? Instead of this line, what can I ask? Write the question down, not the line. Write the question down. Do this. You'll see a pattern, right? You're going to start to, curiosity will start to kick in. And that's where your next level, the next version of you on these calls is actually hiding. It's letting go of the training wheels of this script. Sales mastery is not about memorization. It's muscle memory, guys. It's holding a conversation, not repetition, okay? And this is how Jesus, by the way, right? Like, this is how Jesus taught and preached. He didn't preach through scripts. He didn't. He spoke in stories, parables, right? Spirit-led responses to whoever was in front of him. He was present. He laid the foundation, built the walls, had the roof, right? And that's our goal here. It's to just show up. It's not to be scripted. You want your heart to align. Your words will follow. Be Spirit-led in these conversations. You're a coach. You know what to say. Trust your intuition. So sprinkle this onto your next sales conversation. I know that it will do wonders. This right here, the topic of today, covers a wide foundation of you leveling up in your game. Ditch the script. Trust the process. Ditch the script and converse. Just converse. That's it. Remember the big three. That's all you need. Okay? Trust yourself. Flow in conversation. Hope to see you on the next episode.
All right, you just listened to the High Ticket Review. And by the way, this podcast is completely supported by you, a high ticket closer, business owner, or salesperson. So make sure to smash that subscribe button to close higher dollar deals faster. And don't forget, go implement what you heard today. Opportunity is right around the bend on the other end of every single call that you take. See you next time.